Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the Mental Health Center of Denver's Gift of Hope's breakout session on school during the pandemic. I'd like to introduce myself now. My name is Lori Weiner, and I am the program manager for the school-based mental health team. And my co-host for today is Cindy Gonzalez. She is one of our amazing clinicians on the school-based team. And we are here today to talk about school during the pandemic. We're going to be presenting a short slideshow and then allowing for questions at the end. So if we could start that slideshow, that would be great. Thank you. Welcome to Gifts of Hope 2020. Next slide, please. Today's session is going to be how to set up your child for virtual learning success. Next slide. So it's important that we give you an overview today. Today, this overview is going to be talking about creating and maintaining a schedule for your kids with flexibility and consistency as being the most important things to your success. We'll be discussing school space in your home. Why is it important and how to help your kids create a school space just for them during school hours. We're going to be talking about a reward system. In school nowadays, their teacher is probably already doing something similar. So in this presentation, we want to help you find some sort of reward system where they can do the virtual learning at home too. We're also going to be discussing mind breaks, why they're important and how do they help with virtual learning. We all need mind breaks, not only children, adults as well. But this will be an important thing to talk about in order to have a successful key to success during the virtual school day. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first thing we want to talk about is creating a schedule. As you know, when kids are in school, teachers usually post a schedule every day in the classroom. It's not just for the students themselves, but it's for staff as well. Creating a schedule at home for you and your child is going to be just as important. What does it do? It helps keep everyone on track. It reminds us where we are in the day and where we're at. And it helps build new skills and it teaches consistency. The importance of having that schedule really does help set up your day for success. Not only will it help your child remember what they need to do, but as a busy parent, you know what the schedule is. You'll know when your child needs to be doing one thing or another. And so having that schedule being consistent and being present and where you can see it and where someone else can see it is going to be the most helpful thing to keep it successful. We want to keep everyone on track. Next slide. Okay, so now we want to talk a little bit about what should a schedule look like. When you're thinking about what a schedule should look like, there's several things to take into consideration. One, a start and end time from when the day gets started to when the day ends. This is just like what happens when you would be in school. School starts at 8 o'clock, kids get out at 3:30. If you want to make a time just like that at home, do so. Now, there may be some limitations to that based on how the virtual learning in your school is, because some schools may say they have a certain type of learning on Zoom or Google Chat for a little bit, and then there's on your own learning. So when you create the schedule, you definitely have to be thinking about what the school requirement is and really what's best for your child at that time. But the important thing is that you have a start time and that you have an end time. Okay, now the next bullet point is really try to include those daily tasks and chores, right? Just because you're at home doesn't mean those things go by the wayside. You want a built-in time for their chores, definitely brushing their teeth, giving them a snack time, giving them a meal time. That should all be built into the schedule and it should be consistent. Okay, all class times should be in there. Lunch breaks, And of course, mind breaks. Now we'll be getting into mind breaks a little bit later in the slide presentation. We'll explain what those are and why those are so important for your child. Two other things to keep into consideration. Please, in the schedule, carve out some parent caregiver time, as well as any preferred activity time. Now, preferred activities can be those that are related to art or something directly at the desk, or the preferred activity time could be that sort of get up and jump around break. Give them a little free time break. They would get recess if they were at school. Give them some sort of chance to move around and get some of that excess energy out as they're sitting at home, you know, doing their virtual learning. And make sure that it's visual and everyone can see it. That schedule needs to be present so everyone is on board. Next slide. So these are just some examples of some schedules that you can make on your own. If you look, there's one that was printed out with different colors, and it kind of tells you, okay, 6 o'clock, we're still sleeping. 7 o'clock, we have wake up and breakfast. Then you do your chore. Then at 9 o'clock starts the academic time for about an hour. And then they can have snack and outside time, creative time, lunch time. Now, obviously, this one is more geared for younger children. But as you get into the middle and high school, you can look at some of these other charts and look and decide what's best and how to put those charts together in them. So someone, an example over here, has used a whiteboard. Someone printed out something. I also suggest when you're making your daily schedule, get your child involved. Have them create it. They can decorate it. They can choose when they want their break time. If you can get your child's buy-in to the schedule, they're more likely to be successful because they're the ones that sort of created it themselves, and it's not just you being in charge. I'm going to pass it off to Cindy now. She's going to continue on. Next slide, please.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Cindy. Like Lori said, I am a school-based therapist at Mental Health Center of Denver. Some things that you want to keep in mind with the schedule, exactly like how Lori said, include your kids because that's going to get their buy-in. And when you're thinking about how you want to create it, whether you want to do a whiteboard or you want to print it out or you want to just get a big poster board from Dollar Tree and write it in, however it is that you want to create this, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to fit the needs of your family. Make sure you think about things like, what are my family's goals? What are we trying to accomplish right now? Whether you're doing school completely online or completely in person, or you're doing a bit of both. Think about the goals that you're trying to accomplish this school year as a family, and then include that with your schedule. The next thing is where you put your schedule is going to be super important. So think about a place that you consistently as a family interact with or pass by. And is it going to be visually available to everybody? Can everybody see it pretty easily? For example, if you put it on a sticky note and you put it on this huge wall, people are going to pass by it pretty easily. Thinking about places like the fridge. We go to the fridge pretty often. Or maybe the bathroom, because the first place we go to is brush our teeth, so maybe the bathroom. Places that your family interacts with a lot. Maybe it's the living room, because that's where everybody goes majority of the time. Think about things like that. And the biggest piece with a schedule to always keep in mind is going to be the consistency and the flexibility. With the consistency piece is keeping it very consistent, the same on a day-to-day basis. Making sure that you're going back every week and checking in, okay, what worked well this week? What do we need to make better this week? What do we need to keep the same because it helped us with our schedule, with being consistent? Doing those kind of things is really going to help with the consistency. The other piece of the flexibility is that reminder of not every day is going to look the same. And this is also very different, whether you're doing school completely virtual or in person or both, it's still very different compared to everything that we've done before in school. So just remember to be flexible and know that some days are going to be easier than others, and they're not going to always look the same. It's just reminding yourself to check in again. What worked good? What do I need to fix? What do I need to make better? Or what do I need to make sure I keep doing because it's really working well for my family and my kids? And then on the next slide, so that's all about the schedule. What we're going to be talking about next is creating a space for school at home. So if, again, whether you're doing virtual completely or both or in person, at the end of the day, we still need a school space at home. Whether it's to do homework or anything related to school, we need that space. Even as an adult, we need separation, we need boundaries. So that's why it's so important to have this specific space for it, is because of those boundaries, those limits that we need. It's going to really help reinforce the schedule that you are going to create with your family, and it's really going to help with structure. So in the next slide, we'll talk about how to create a space, what's going to be important for that. So when you're thinking about creating a space, that doesn't mean getting a nice fancy desk and it's a perfect, cute setup for our kids. No, that's not the important thing here. The most important thing is having a spot, an area that's going to be consistent, not just for your kid, but for yourself as the parent, right? And as you're thinking about, okay, my kid, where does their area need to be for school? Think and ask yourself, because you are the expert of your child, you know them best. Think about, okay, what is going to help my kid? Is it being in a community? So is it all of us being in the kitchen table and all doing our work together? Or, you know what? No, they can't concentrate. They need more privacy. They need to be alone. Maybe it's something like that. And also continuously check in about, okay, what are going to be the benefits if I have their area be their room? Okay, they can focus. They like the privacy. It really helps them. Limitations, maybe they get distracted easily because all their toys are in their room or all the fun stuff is in their room, right? So think about things like that. Some essentials or like good things to have when you're thinking about creating an area is like a backpack, a basket, a box, something like that. Because it doesn't mean having a specific desk for each one of your kids. It means just having an area. It could be the kitchen table. It could be the living room table. And each day, every morning, the start of your day, you check your schedule. All right, it's time for school. I take out my backpack, I take my box, and I bring out my school stuff. And that's going to include my laptop. Another thing that I want to keep in mind that I would put in a box or a backpack is a water bottle and a snack. I say those things because even as an adult, as soon as I start catching myself feeling dehydrated or hungry throughout my workday, I start getting distracted. I start losing focus because my mind's on food or I'm thirsty or whatever it is. So this is going to help with that schedule, that consistency, and like reminding them, like, you have your water with you. You can continue for those last 5 minutes and then you'll get your break or whatever it is. And the last thing is, with this space, make sure you help your child keep it organized. Whether it's making sure to put it all back in the backpack or the box or the basket at the end of the day, and making sure everything has a home, because that's going to really help again with that schedule, that consistency, that structure that we want to do. All right. The next thing is the mind breaks that we kind of talked about at the beginning, the things that we want to make sure you guys include in your schedule. So even as an adult, I'm going to explain to you what a mind break is. So it's pretty much designed for not just students, but for everybody, to help us stay focused, help us to make sure that we're energized and we're attending to the work that is right in front of us. This helps us by getting us to move, and then that will help carry blood into the oxygen, blood and oxygen into the brain, which then that means we feel more relaxed, we feel more energized, and we feel more focused. When you're thinking about how to create mind breaks, in the next slide, you'll see, again, schedule them into your schedule, into your routine throughout the day. Some schools I know have already kind of added blocks. So again, use what the school has already given you to create the schedule, to create the mind breaks. Think about your child again. You are the expert of your child. You know them best, so you know exactly what they need. Some kids are happy and energized all the time. They want to show you their dances, they want to move, but they need to sit down and read, right? Some kids are the opposite. They're like, I'm tired, I feel really tired, I don't want to do this, I feel sleepy. Their head is on the desk, right? and they can't focus because they have the opposite. They have less energy. So when you're thinking about these mind breaks, thinking about your child and what they need. Maybe they need something to help them focus and relax because they're all over the place, because they really want to dance. Maybe it's a dance break. It's a dance party for them. Maybe it's going outside and playing or getting on the bike. Maybe it's just running around and playing tag with siblings, whatever it is. Maybe that's what it is. For other kids, it might be, I need quiet time. I need to go to my room. I need to put headphones in. I need to take a 20-minute nap. I need to read quietly in my own corner. It's going to be different for every kid, and you know them best. You know exactly what kind of break is going to do. It's going to help them get to the goal, which is focus and relax, so we can pay attention and attend to the schoolwork. The cool thing about mind breaks also is the same thing with the schedule, is you want to include your kid in this. Ask them, all right, what kind of breaks what would you like to do on your mind breaks? And this is where you as a parent kind of help with that. You'll kind of check in with them about, like, maybe they don't have an idea of what could be, and you let them know, all right, well, do you want some ideas? I have some ideas. Or this is where the checking in is, again, very important. Maybe you did a mind break that they really wanted to do. They wanted a dance party, and now it's really hard to get back to class. The dance party got them really excited, really energized, and now they can't focus, right? The break did not work. It did not do its job. This is where checking in with them and letting them know, hey, I'm noticing this mind break didn't help you relax. It didn't help you focus. What other mind break can we do that will do that? So again, checking in with these mind breaks, because the goal is always going to be to help focus and relax. The final thing that we're going to touch on is reward system. So on the next slide, you'll see kind of a definition of a reward system is. It says a structure that you create as a family to incentivize positive behavior, and you deter or you move away from unwanted behavior. Another way that I like to kind of explain what a reward system is, it's an interesting way to teach our kids that choices have consequences. If you make a good choice, you will have a positive consequence. If you make a bad choice, most likely you will have a negative consequence. And it's not even about like negative consequence of being punished. It's naturally in life, there is a negative consequence. If I decide to sleep in until 12, the natural negative consequence is that I'm going to be super tired and really low energy when I wake up at 6 a.m. the next day for work, right? So this is a great way to teach kids that. There's many different ways you can do this with your kid. You can go to Dollar Tree and buy a whiteboard. You can just do a big board and buy stickers, and each sticker means a point. You can do a sticker chart. There's a bunch of them at Dollar Tree for $1 and then a bunch of stickers there. However you want to do this with your family, but make sure, again, that you are including your kids in this planning. You're asking them, okay, what do you want to work for? What kind of prizes do you want? And prizes and rewards does not have to mean like, I want an iPad. I want the new PlayStation. No. It's more about like, oh, hey, how about 30 more minutes of TV time? How about one less chore this week? Or how about you get to go to the movies this week? Or right now movies are not a thing, but things like that. You get to plan something with your friends, whatever it is. It's those activities, it's those things that your kids like. And again, you as a parent know exactly what they like. You know if they like video games, you know if they like movies, you know if they like to read. Maybe they get an hour extra before bedtime to do reading. Whatever it is, you as a family get to decide what that reward or prize is going to be at the end. And in the next slide, we'll talk about things to make sure you are including in this reward system. So when you're thinking about the incentives, again, check in with your kids, work with them, plan with them to make sure you guys are doing that together. Especially because they need to know what they're working towards, right? And if you tell them like, okay, you'll get 30 more minutes of TV time and your child doesn't even watch TV, they're going to be like, well, I don't really care. They're not really going to be pushed. They're not going to be incentivized, right? That's the same with us as adults at work. If you tell me that if I do 10 extra things at work and I'll get a lollipop, I'm going to be like, oh, I'll just work my regular thing. I don't need the extra lollipop, right? We're not going to do the extra stuff. We need something that's really going to push us, something that's going to incentivize us. The next thing is being very, very specific on the behaviors that you want to see, right? So for every time I don't have to remind you to take out the trash, you get a point. But if I have to remind you, there's no point, right? Very, very specific. I don't have to remind you. I don't have to say your name. That's the point, right? It has to be very, very specific. Very detailed. You want to talk about it with your family. It's almost a contract with your kid of like, when I see these things, you get a point. And at the end of the week, if you get 10 points, you get the prize or you get the reward, whatever it is. Some good to knows with this is keep it consistent. What that means is, let's say on the contract, on the reward system, you with your kids said, every time I don't have to remind you, you get a point. Okay, Monday comes around, I don't have to remind them. They take the trash out, they got a point. Tuesday comes around, they do the same thing. Wednesday comes around, they didn't do it. I reminded them, right? But they did it right after. They did it as soon as I asked them. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'll go do it right now. They run off and take out the trash. Was that very specific to what we asked and what we wanted to see? Nope, I had to remind them. And even though as a parent, we're like, oh my God, but they've been working so hard for this. They did it right away. I should just give them the point. This is where as a parent, you're going to have to make sure that you're consistent with what you said in the contract. What was in the contract was, I don't have to remind you. What happened? I had to remind you. This is where it's going to be hard, because then you're going to get to the end of the week and you're going to be like, oh, you're 9 points away. And as a parent, you're going to want to be like, maybe I'll just give it to them this time. No. Or maybe I'll just give them half. No. Again, no. Be consistent. Okay. And again, reviewing this each week with your family. What worked well this week? What didn't work well this week? What helped me reach my goal? Well, what helped me reach those 10 points? Or maybe I got 9 points. I was 1 away from getting the prize. Okay, I didn't get the prize. They're not going to give me prize because I didn't get the 10 points. I only got 9. But what do I need to make sure I do next week to make sure I get those full 10 points, right? And again, make sure you have something to keep track of this. It can be, again, just a big board with stickers on it. It can be marker written all over. It can just be like little lines of points, whatever it is. But make sure you are keeping track and everybody in the family knows exactly what they need to do to get a point. And if it's your first time as a family having anything like a reward system, try your first goal to be one behavior. Like this week, we're only going to work on trash. And then next week, we'll work on helping with dinner. Whatever it is, whatever goals you want as a family, but start out with one behavior. And then as you kind of start to figure out a good system for you and your family, you can add more. I would never do 2 to 3 at a time, because then it gets a little bit harder to track and to keep, especially if you have more than one kid. So I definitely recommend starting out with one behavior for sure. And that is our last slide. We are ready for questions.
Rita, will we have time to answer questions?
Yes, why don't we take a few questions? Let's see. Courtney
Okay.
can help us with what might be in the chat.
Okay, let me look at the chat. So we have a question from Seth Patterson. Does MHCD have a perspective on the reasonable effectiveness, i.e. good, fair, not perfect compliance with MHCD and other good guidance of virtual classes versus in-person? It is important for parents, teachers to remember that teachers are trying to stay safe as well. Well, that's a big question. I think the best way to answer that question, Seth, is to say that every single school is different. Every single family is different. Every circumstance is actually different. We would never, as an agency, give a recommendation to anybody specifically based on their own personal needs. So what I would say to that question is to work effectively with the school that your child is going to, and really say to yourself, If they open up, do I feel they've put the necessary precautions in place? Do I feel that my child is going to be safe? Do I feel like the teachers are going to be safe? That's something as a family, you need to figure that out on your own and make a determination. And if you feel comfortable and the school is opening and they're sending kids and you feel okay with it, I would do it. I also would say to you, don't feel bad if you're choosing still to keep your child at home. Safety is a #1 priority right now. And if you don't feel that's a safe thing, then you shouldn't do it. But that's a personal decision you want to make on your own. And it really does depend on your family situation, the school situation, and whether you feel all the safety precautions have been put in place. I hope that answers your question. Rita, will we have slide check available afterwards to share the slides?
I'm not sure, but we will post it. This breakout will be posted online on our website following the event.
Great. So we do want to open it up to any more questions in the chat for at least for a few more minutes. If anyone does, please don't hesitate or raise your hand.
Okay, maybe we just want to go ahead and move to kind of the final items there, Lori.
Sorry, I think I'm muted, or I was muted.
Now you're unmuted, thanks.
Okay, give me a sec. Okay. Thank you all for joining us today, both for our main program and for the conversation today. If you haven't had a chance yet, it's not too late to be a part of our work and our mission by making your gift using the form to the right. Check out our Wellbeing Live series at mhcd.org/wellbeinglive for more information about our programs and how to improve your well-being. A recording of today's program and each breakout session will be available on our Gifts of Hope page very soon. Make sure you also sign up below to be the first to know details about the second event of the Gifts of Hope series coming again in spring of 2021. Thank you all very much for coming. We really, really appreciate it.